All right, so I'm going to share with you one of the most, I guarantee it's going to be one of the most overlooked charts, if not the most overlooked charts you're going to see in a while. From my man Meb Faber and his Idea Farm email he sends out every Sunday, which I freaking love. The S&P 500 right now is 70% less labor intensive than it was in the 1980s. And here's the Bank of America. Bank of America, why would they lie? So we're going to assume Bank of America is telling us the truth. S&P 500 total number of employees to total revenues ratio. So here we got number of employees, 8 employees per $1 million revenue. Go down here, it's about 2 employees for $1 million revenue. All right, well, that's no big deal. It just shows that companies are getting more productive, Josh. Yeah, more robust. Yeah, that's great. That's no big deal. Oh, my feathered friends, how wrong you are. No, you're not a feathered friend. This right here is from the Bureau of Labor, BLS, Consumer Expenditure, 2011, June. This is just an article I got from work on my book, Relax and Retire, Debunking Inflation Myths. June 2011, Trends in Consumer Spending and Personal Savings. All right. Rising consumer demand for goods and services has been a key element of U.S. economic growth for the past 50 years. Consumer spending, measured in the National Income and Product Accounts, NIPAs, as personal consumption expenditures. So consumer spending is what they call PCE, personal consumption expenditure, accounts for more than 2/3 of domestic demand in the United States as measured by GDP. Measured by gross domestic purchases. PCE, and they go down here real quick. Gross domestic purchases, a measure of purchases by U.S. residents, regardless of where the purchased good or service was produced, is calculated as the sum of personal consumption expenditures. Anyway, so remember, PCE is essentially consumer spending is roughly a 2/3 of the more than 2/3 of the more than 2/3 of the entire GDP growth of the United States economy. Just keep that in mind. All right. PCE consists of household expenditures and the expenses net of sales of nonprofit institutions serving households. Increases in consumer demand have been supported by increases in disposable personal income. Disposable personal income is personal income less taxes. What is that? What, Josh? What makes sense? Will you? I'm going to make sense. Check this out. If I can find my stop button. There you go. Here's the S&P 500 weighted in September 2022. Communications is 12%, whereas 20 years ago is 5%. Consumer discretionary is 12%, whereas 20 years ago is 5%. Information technology is 25%, whereas 20 years ago is 16%. Right here, financials was 11%, whereas 20 years ago is 20%. Energy is 4%, whereas 20 years ago is 7%. Consumer staples is 7%, whereas 20 years ago is 13%. The big one, of course, is IT. All right, so we got IT, and then we have communication services, which again would be another form of IT. So between them, that's 37% of the industry weights of the S&P 500. Oh, we're not done yet there. Check this out. Those go back to 1990. Healthcare has gone. Oh, I'm smoking some brisket right there on my Traeger that Charlotte bought for me. Oh man. So I was talking to the guy the other day. I sous vide it for 12 hours. I'm going to smoke it for 24. Oh, it's going to be good, baby. Look at that. S&P 500 sector weightings in 1990. 5% was technology. At the end of February 2016, it was 20%. We just showed you what it is now. I forgot what it was. IT. 25% now. Yeah, that's great. Financials was about 7.5%. Now it's 15%. Healthcare was 8%. Now it's 14%. Consumer staples about flat. But watch this. Industrials 15%. Now down to about 10%. Materials 8%. Now down to about 2%. All right. So that's energy. I mean, you can see that's not good, man. Utilities, telecom. Anyway, the materials, consumer discretionary, staples, industrials. And those are the big ones right there. Those are the people working on it. How many people work in technology? How many people actually work in financials? You see what I'm saying? And if they're not working, and we already told you about last week about how we have this mass, 7.2 million men not working, where are they going to get the money to keep up the consumer spending? Let me show you something else here real quick. This is kind of frightening in of its own right. Dow, but I want to show you some companies that dropped from the Dow. All right, we got Walgreens replaced General Electric in 2018. All right, what other companies have dropped from that? Remember Bethlehem Steel? That's dropped. I mean, it's bankrupt many, many years ago. Let's see. Let's keep looking. They had a chart here. Right here, Bethlehem Steel offers a great example of how economic changes over time over the decades can lead to changes in the Dow. It was one of the times the second largest U.S. producer of steel. By the 1970s, cheaper imported foreign steel was beginning to take its toll. General Electric, Citigroup, Sears, AT&T, Pfizer, ExxonMobil. What? So there's some of the most iconic companies that have been dropped from the Dow. Now, Dow isn't necessarily the S&P 500, but you get where I'm going with that. So hold on, just show this. Vitamin D, how I love you. The Boston Globe, 18 September 1986, the business section. All right, so we got money, guided personal finance. I just want to kind of show you something here real quick. And we're going to show you that the S&P 500 right there, and we can see consumer staples were through the roof. Consumer discretionary, healthcare, energy, utilities, materials and processing technology. Okay, it's all good. All good into it. So this guy right here, Joey Smartpants, David Levine, predicts market recovery, explosive economic growth. So why is that explosive economic growth coming from? Let's take a look. You want to see? If businessmen increase capital goods spending, how dare you? How dare you misgender me? If businessmen increase capital goods spending very slightly, we will have a boom. The prospect of a tax bill reducing investment tax credit appears not to have killed capital expenditures. Why do you predict this boom? Right here, corporate profits could grow by 35% year over year, or maybe over a full year. Why? Why would corporate profits grow? Because they're saying they're going to have capital spending. Where's the capital spending coming from? You want to take a guess? It's coming from people. Consumer spending. It's going through the roof. Because people were the baby boomers back then were making more money than anyone known the history of mankind was. You see what I'm saying? They were spending like drunken sailors, and that was growing the economic output. That's just a fact, Jack. There wasn't mass globalization yet to replace all of us. There was still technology. Don't get me wrong. There's still efficiencies. But we had a lot of people still going manly work. Bethlehem Steel was still freaking crunching out steel up there in Bethlehem, PA. We still had General Electric. We still had people freaking driving the hammer and grinding the gears. Yeah, that's what we still had people working. And they were getting paid to work, and they were buying stuff. Now it's a completely different scenario, man. Now we have, one second. Beautiful just came out. She does not want to be on the video, so I was trying to pretend that I wasn't, and she was, I know you are. I said, no. But anyway, I lose again. Arrgh, heavens to Murgatory, whatever that is. Anyway, the point being, dude, if you don't have as many people making money, I know this looks good. Like, look how efficient we're getting, that we don't need as many people to grow. We're so efficient. That also means there's not much paychecks in people's pockets, dude. If you don't have as much paychecks in people's pockets, you have less people working. Even if there's revenues coming down the pike, at the end of the day, you still need people to have disposable income in which to spend. And I just told you right here from this chart, disposable income, net disposable income, disposable personal income was going up, which allowed people to spend more, which allowed the economy to keep growing, which allowed stocks to grow. Where is all this going to come from? You think we can now get to $1 million in revenue for one employee? Is that a good attribute? This is like the Laffer curve in reverse. The Laffer curve says when the rates are too high, we can cut the rates and increase tax revenue because it opens up that we basically put a fake ceiling on people's ability to get out there and work and make income, pay taxes. That's what happened in Sweden. That's what happened in Ronald Reagan and the tax cuts. Exactly what happens. This is the exact same thing. We're lowering the amount of people to generate $1 million. You can't keep doing that to zero. Not only that, but you still need employees to have the freaking income to buy your products. If you don't have the employees to have the income to buy your products, I don't care what the hell. Unless the government magically keeps printing, and it's not going to happen. Again, this isn't a be doomsday scenario. I'm trying to set your expectations, man. If you expect 5 to 6% in stocks, I think you're going to be okay. If you expect 10 to 12, I think you're nuts. Now, if you expect 5 to 6 and you get it 10 to 12, that's great. But you shouldn't make that expectation and contingent on financial planning. Love your thoughts. We'll see ya.